I'm on my profile page, but notice there's a follow me button, which makes no sense. Let's fix that. Let's go to that follow button component that we made in the last episode, and I'm going to wrap this within a conditional. And we'll say, if the authenticated user is not this person, only on that condition should we display the form. Or if you like, you can swap this with unless. Unless the authenticated user is the user in question, display the form, whatever you like more. So now if I give it a refresh, I no longer see it on my profile page, but I will see it anywhere else. And that is what we want. All right, let's do the inverse. Yes, I can edit my own profile, but I can't edit the profiles of my friends. So let's go back to the show page for profiles, and we'll scroll down. There it is. And yeah, we'll do the same thing. So we'll say, if the authenticated user is the user in question, the user for the profile page, only in that condition should we display a profile link. Or later, if we implement authorization, we could say, if you can edit a profile, we could do something like that. But this will get us started. So yet again, I cannot edit Juliet's profile, but I can edit my own. Okay, so we're going to add the edit profile link in just a moment. However, real quick, notice that I constantly reference auth user, and that's fine. But sometimes I just want something more simple, like this. It's so trivial, but I do feel like it makes a difference. It's a little more enjoyable. So in situations where you'd like to add global helper functions, here's what you can do. In my sidebar in the app directory, let's add a simple file called helpers, and then I will add it here. Really simple. However, of course, if I refresh, it's not going to work because we haven't registered that file. Let's add it to our composer.json file. Where we come down to the autoload section, this isn't PSR4 autoloading. It's not a class. It's a simple file. So this will be app helpers.php. But it's still not going to work. And that's because you have to run the composer dump autoload. So we're going to dump the autoload file. Now, if I come back and refresh, it works again. So now we have a new place to store any helper functions like that. So now, any place that we reference auth user, like in this component, if you like it more, you can replace it. It's up to you. Anyways, if we go back to our show page, yeah, maybe this would go to, well, we have our user path method that we created. Let's accept an argument here, and this will be appended to the path. Here's what I mean. If we go to user down to our path method, we could add append. And well, we could append it, or maybe we could even say path, and then say return, are we appending anything? If so, let's spit out the path, and then whatever we are appending. Otherwise, just return the path. All right, so now if I come back and refresh, you'll notice that the link down here is what we want. But it doesn't exist. All right, let's go to our routes web file, and we'll have to add some authorization here. So if you make a GET request to profiles user edit, that will load a profiles controller at edit. And if we visit that now, a couple things to be aware of. So yes, we could return a view profiles.edit. We'll accept the profile, like so. And quickly in our resources directory, views, profiles, let's add a new one, where we have our application, edit to the profile. Okay, so we come back to Firefox, we give it a refresh, and sure enough, we see it. However, for any profile, we have access to that endpoint. So we should protect against that. And we've already learned about authorization, so this should be easy for you. We'll go back to Profiles Controller, and you might start in here. You might start with something like, well, if the user is not the current user, then you don't have permission. So you'll abort with a 404. Okay, so now if I were to come back and refresh, no, you can't access her profile. But if we go to our own, you can access it. So that would be an option, pretty simple. And a little tip, you could even refactor this to a helpful abort if function that Laravel provides. So you accept your Boolean and then your status code. Now, if you want to tweak this, we could instead extract this to a policy. PHP artisan, make a policy called user policy. All right, so now in your app directory, we have a new policies file. And right down here, let's just add a single one. For now, it will be edit. Can you edit the given user? So this will accept the authenticated user. Let's change that to current user. And then we'll have another one for the user in question. All right, so now we can do effectively the same thing. At the moment, you can edit a user if you are that user. All right, so now Laravel should automatically register that for us. So if we come back to our profiles controller, again, we can handle this in a couple ways. We could start by saying, well, authorize that we can edit this user. And if we try it, sure enough, yeah, in this case, I did a 404, but a 403 is probably more appropriate. That's unauthorized. However, we can still edit John Doe's profile because we are him. All right, so you can do it in the controller or in your routes file. If you like to handle authorization here, of course, you could manage it as part of the route declaration. Middleware, and the syntax is can we edit this wildcard? User is the name of the wildcard there. Okay, so once again, now we no longer have anything in our controller. But if I come back to Firefox, refresh, it works, but I cannot edit somebody else's profile. And that's what we're going to stick with in this case. I like it. It keeps the controller pretty clean. And even better, now, if we go back to our profile page right here, there's no need to duplicate that logic. Because think about it. What if in the future we decide, well, yes, if you are the user, you can edit your own profile, but as the administrator, I can edit your profile too. Or maybe the manager of your team can edit your profile. You would have to go to all these locations and update the logic. And that's why it's nice to have a single point where that's declared. If you need to make a change, you update that authorization logic in one place. Okay, so we're going to swap this out with can edit the user. A little cleaner, don't you think? So we'll come back to any profile. I don't see the button, but on our own, I do. All right, so now that we have our authorization all set to go, in the next episode, we'll build up the edit profile form.